Hi guys, this is George back here with another vlog, and today I'm here at Drayton Manor to come and get my final rides on Shockwave in its original form. Of course, I'm going to talk more about the ride over there. However, for 2024, Shockwave is going to be getting a massive transformation, and I'll talk all about that when I'm over there. As well as that, I'm going to check out the construction for the new roller coaster opening next year and get back on some of my favourite rides in the park. It doesn't look too busy here today. I mean, you know it's quite quiet when it's quiet over there in Vikings. Loki has quite a small queue, and that's normally one that builds up quite a big queue, so hopefully it's going to be nice and quiet around the rest of the park. So let's go and have a look around and get on some rides. It is so much quieter here than when I was here a couple of months ago. Maelstrom is literally walk on, so I'm going to go for a ride on here. There's literally about 10 people in the queue, so let's go. So I literally walked straight onto Maelstrom there, which is absolutely fantastic. My favourite ride here on Park, and I'd say that's getting up there to being closer to my favourite flat ride in the UK now. I'd say it's now my second favourite flat ride in the UK after the Cyclonator at Poulton's Park. And the reason why I take Cyclonator is because you do get a longer cycle on there. However, the beauty of today is if you get a short cycle, go straight back around again. The queues are dead, so I'm definitely going to get more rides on Maelstrom later. However, I'm going to wait for a bit because I really want to get on Shockwave, because as I said earlier, it's going to be having a massive transformation for 2024, and today is most likely going to be my last chance to ride it in its original form. So here we go, let's talk a bit about Shockwave. So Shockwave is an Intamin stand-up coaster that opened here at Drayton Manor in 1994. It's a very iconic ride. However, for 2024, it's going to be getting sit-down trains. Of course, this is currently the only stand-up roller coaster in Europe, and it is the only stand-up coaster left by Intamin. So it's a very unique ride, and it is a shame to see the stand-up is going away. It's not one of my favourite coasters. However, I do think it's unique, and it's definitely unique, and I do enjoy it because it is unique, and it's a stand-up coaster. It's a bit different to anything else we have here in the UK. So yeah, it is going to be getting sit-down trains. So of course, at the moment, the ride has a 1.4 metre height requirement. With sit-down trains, they're going to be able to lower it down to 1.2 metres, which of course fits with the family target audience that they're going for Drayton Manor. Of course, they removed Apocalypse recently. They are removing some more of their thrilling rides, but this one, instead of removing it, they're bringing the height requirement down, and they're turning it into a sit-down coaster. Of course, it is a bit rough, it is getting old, it is time for it to have some work done to it. However, I would have liked to have seen them stick with the stand-up trains. However, that's not what they're going to be happening. That's not what's happening. Also, as well as that, it's going to be getting a new name and a new story as well. So of course, it's in the Adventure Cove themed section of the park. It's still going to be having a similar theme. However, it's going to be having some changes to the theme, and as well as that, yeah, it's going to be getting a new name as well, which I think is a bit of a shame because Shockwave is iconic. It's an iconic coaster for the UK, and to see it changing is quite sad, to be honest, because it's history here at the park. It's an iconic ride. But here we go. I'm going to go on for a ride now. Hopefully, I'll get a few rides on here today to kind of send it off and get a few rides on it. I wasn't able to do it last time I was here because it was so busy, so here we go. I can make up for that today because the queue is literally empty. So Shockwave was running quite well there. It was quite smooth. I was on the third row, and it was actually very nice. I banged my head a bit just before the first inversion. However, that vertical loop is pretty intense on there. The zero G roll is great as well. I used to find that really uncomfortable. However, I actually don't mind it as much now. And then the corkscrews at the end, it's normally after the loop where it starts to get a bit rougher, but it seems like this time it was actually rougher before the vertical loop, and it was actually quite smooth towards the end of the layout. The brakes are very sharp on that. However, it's character, isn't it? I do like Shockwave. It's not one of my favourite coasters. I wouldn't be too sad to see it go if there were other rides of its kind, but it's unique, and it's sad when you see history getting changed, and that's why I'm quite sad that Shockwave is getting changed, even though I don't mind the coaster, except I don't think it's going to be very good as a sit-down coaster. I feel like the fact that makes it now is the fact that it's unique and it's a stand-up coaster. If it's a sit-down coaster, the layout doesn't really do much. As long as it keeps the forces, then I think it still will be a decent ride. However, I think it will always be better as a stand-up coaster than a sit-down coaster. Hopefully it will be nice and smooth though. We you know it's a quiet day for Drayton Manor, at Drayton Manor, when this is the queue for air race. This ride doesn't have the highest throughput, so here we go, let's go for a ride. I absolutely love this ride. And yeah, normally it has a massive queue, so let's go. So I've just had a fantastic ride on Air Race. I haven't been on the one here for quite a few years actually, because it's always so busy. I did do the one at Brighton Palace Pier last year. However, that's one of the smaller models. This one's one of the big ones, so you can get more people on there. It's a fantastic ride, and I would ride it every time I come here to Drayton Manor. But yeah, as I said, the queue does get really big for it. It does have quite slow operations. It takes a while for them to be able to load it up, get everyone in, and then put the seatbelts down, and then go around and check all the restraints, and it does take a while. However, when you get going, it is a fantastic ride, very intense. You get some great G-forces on there, some great hang time as well, loads of inversions on there as well. I was counting how many inversions I got. I spun around 14 times on there, so yeah, really, really good. I'm now going to head over to the Haunting, and I'm going to go for a ride on there of Vekoma Madhouse. I absolutely love this ride, so here we go. Let's go for a ride. As well as that, I'll hopefully do Sheriff Showdown when I'm down there, and then also have a look at what's going on with the construction of the new coaster opening next year. So I just had a fantastic ride there on the Haunting, really, really enjoyed that. And I've just filmed a construction update for the new roller coaster opening in 2024 as well, so definitely go and check that out if you haven't already seen it. It'll already be on the channel before this vlog's uploaded. Yeah, the Haunting, really good ride, great experience. It's a little bit creepy in there. Well, I say a little bit creepy, it's actually very creepy. It's definitely the scariest of the three in the UK. It can be a bit scary for some people if you're going in there and don't know whether it's too scary or not. To kind of give an idea, it's scarier than the other two, so if you don't like Hex at Alton Towers, don't go in there basically. It is quite creepy, however it's more kind of psychological scares than kind of blood and guts kind of scary and horror. It is more family friendly. If you're going in there and you're into horror stuff, then yeah, you might enjoy it, but if you're going in and you don't like horror, then you might be a bit scared in there, so there we go. It's now coming towards the end of the day. I've only had a couple of hours here today because of timings, and I was busy this morning. So I'm going to head back over to Shockwave, and I'm going to get hopefully a couple of rides in on there. In fact, I might actually queue a bit longer so I can do it on the front row, because I don't think I've ever done Shockwave on the front row. So I'm going to head over and have what's most likely going to be my final ride on stand-up original Shockwave. So there we go then guys, I just had my final ride on stand-up Shockwave, or I say that, Shockwave, because next year it's going to have a new name. Sit-down trains, new name, new theme, it's completely changing. The only thing that's the same is the ride. The question is though, is it a new credit? That's what I want to know, because to be honest, I'm not really sure myself whether I want to class it as a new credit or not. I definitely see why someone would class it as a new credit, but what I don't get is how that would be a new credit as a sit down because of the new experience, but Enzo, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, isn't a new credit. That's what I don't get. So yeah, leave your comments down below. Is it a new credit or not? Maybe I'll count it, maybe I won't. I'll have to see how I feel when I ride it, I guess. But there we go. I was in the front row and it was fantastic. That was the best ride I've ever had on Shockwave. Really enjoyed it. Lovely and smooth on the front row. Nice and comfortable as well. Didn't bang my head around at all. The trick is to keep your head forward on there. And it'll be nice and smooth. There we go. Goodbye Shockwave. Thank you for all the rides over the years. I'm actually starting to enjoy it now. Just when it's leaving, that's when I start to enjoy it. The more rides I have on it, the more my love starts to increase for it. But there we go. That's it for Shockwave now. It was a fantastic final ride. Great way to send it off. So then guys, that's now pretty much it for this vlog from Drayton Manor. It was great to get back to the park, get my final rides in on Shockwave, get back on the Haunting, one of my favourite rides there, Maelstrom of course, my favourite ride there, and of course Air Race as well, which I haven't ridden for a very long time, and I do love Zamperla Air Races. So there we go. It was a great day. I was only there for a couple of hours because I got there at about 2 and the park closed at 5, so yeah, I wasn't there for too long. However, it was still great to get back to the park, and of course Shockwave was the big reason for going today. So I'm now going to quickly show you the merchandise that I got from Drayton Manor. There's not loads of merch at the park. I feel like they used to have quite a lot and now they've kind of taken a lot of it away. However, there is something that I have bought that I'm really happy with. So as you can see here, we've got some Drayton Manor retro magnets, and of course these are some of the old rides at the park. Well, not all of them are rides, of course. So this one here, you've got the classic logo of Drayton Manor. Of course, it was last year they changed the logo to this one, but it used to be like that. And it definitely hasn't always said family theme park. It used to say Drayton Manor theme park, but so I imagine this was the one even before that. So this must have been a long time ago that this was the park's logo. Of course, you've got one for Pandemonium there as well. Now, normally, I don't buy merchandise for rides that I haven't been on. However, the other two rides that are on the magnet, I did go on. And this is the only one that's a ride that I didn't go on. So, therefore, it's not as if I could have chosen which ones are in here. This came as a set. And it's not as if I could have taken the Pandemonium one out and only got the other three. So I have got one for Pandemonium, but I did never go on that ride. Of course, we've got one for G-Force there as well, the Mara X-Car Coaster that used to be at the park, opened in 2005 and closed in 2018. I rode that 3 times during my first visit to the park in 2017. And then, of course, my beloved Apocalypse there as well. What was my favourite ride at the park, but unfortunately they did remove it last year. Still a bit bitter about that decision, but I have got quite a bit of merch for it now. I've got a couple of ride parts from it, and I've got this magnet. So yeah, there we go. I really like this kind of retro set of magnets that they've done here. So then guys, that is now the end of this vlog here. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at George Kelly and follow me on Twitter at George Kelly. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe everyone, and I will see you all later. Bye.